Guys, look, it's here. The new Raphael Pizzella book. I know everybody's already been talking about it online, and I'm a little late and I was tagged, but as you know, I have a lot going on right now, but look, it's here. It's pretty, and I'm in it. And it is called Witchcraft and Black Magic in the United States. It's by Eighth Tower Publications. I don't know if you can see that. That's where you can get it. And there are a ton of people in here. Let's see. We have stories by Simon Bleakin, Chris McAlley, J. Edwin Buja, Glenn Owen Barris, Michael F. Housel, Scott J. Currier, B. Harlan Crawford, yours truly, Sarah Walker, and John Howard. It is filled with the most amazing stories you could ever think of about witchcraft in America. All I can say is that the back blurb is absolutely amazing. Darren Charles did a great job. I'll read you a little part of it. The stories in this new collection similarly wove their spell upon me and sucked me into their worlds. The talented writers involved in this anthology have created a collection of suitably, quote, weird tales, unquote, that would not feel out of place in the publication of the same name that helped to launch the careers of Clark Ashton Smith, H.P. Lovecraft, Robert Howard, Ray Bradbury, just to name a few. Wow. I am so honored to even be mentioned alongside those great authors' names in the magazine Weird Tales. I mean, that is amazing. We as authors are all lucky to be in this anthology and to have a back book blurb like that. Thank you to Darren Charles. A little bit more about this book. Developed from a personal interest in American witchcraft, Raphael Pizzella has brought together a gifted group of authors whose interests lie in a similar field. Here you will find a wealth of interesting short stories that draw as much on historical documents as they do folklore, classic novels, and short stories, or even modern cinema. In his previous volumes of short stories, Raphael Pizzella, through his measured curation, has developed a back catalog of wonderful stories from a magnificently diverse group of writers. His volume of Lovecraftian tales, The Blackstone Stories for Lovecraftian Summonings, also available on Eighth Tower, is a tour de force and remains a staple in my Lovecraftian horror collection. While I personally have been in a bunch of his collections, as have a lot of the authors that are in here, you should check out Eighth Tower Press for their collections and their accompanying CDs that they usually have for their collections when they're put out. Raphael is amazing. He works with so many international artists, and his own magazine that he has for Patreon, Sonologist, is really interesting. His own music is also very interesting. He's a very talented person. This is just a great tome that everybody should buy. You can find it at Eight Towers Publications, or you can also find it on Amazon. And my story in here is called Twice Cursed. It's the last story. I'm very honored. As you can see, here I am. I don't know, the light's a little bad. I'll have to see if I can edit that. I don't know. Oh God, my light is so bad in here. But it's Twice Cursed by Nora Peevy, and it starts on page 334. And I'm very honored that I get to kind of close out the collection. For all of you readers, when you read my story, I kind of have this thing. It's about me or a character with my name, and you can decide for yourself whether or not this is a true story or if it is a made up story about the character that shares my same name. Um, I'll just read a little bit of that for you. Just let's see. I'll just turn to a page and see what I get. Oh, I turned up on page 354. Um, my part 8, Tarot and Tattoos. You probably thought this is where my story ends because the dark curse was broken and I'm living happily ever after, right? Nope. It turns out you can be lucky enough to be cursed more than once. Right before COVID, I met someone on Plenty of Fish online. I'll call him Todd. Todd swept me off my feet. He was part of the music scene in Milwaukee. He had gorgeous long black hair and looked like a young Gary Newman. He had a motorcycle. He was a great dancer. He was covered in tattoos and had multiple piercings. He was part Native American. He was everything my father hated and everything I always loved. Dangerous and rebellious. He introduced me to a bunch of people, including a bunch of the DJs at a club I'd been going to since high school, which we'll call, for posterity's sake, Syntherium. We also went to other clubs that are now closed since the corona apocalypse hit and business went under. Our romance was fast and furious. I've been accused of falling in love fast, but I live in the moment, and if I feel it, I go with it. Who knows how long I'm going to live? And why should I pass up love? Maybe it's the big one of my life. If I pass it up, I'll never know. After we first met, he took me to his tattoo parlor where he got his ink. He had this skeleton unicorn tattoo running through flames. I've never been one to get a name tattooed on me, but I was really in love with this guy, and I thought he might be the one. I got a matching tattoo, but in a different pose and with slightly more purple because that's my favorite color. I am a magical fucking unicorn that's been through hellfire and come out the other side. I felt this tattoo had meaning for me. Todd and I aren't together, but I still love my unicorn and feel it suits me. 1 month in the fall, the tarot shop had a tattoo and tarot nights. You could get your tarot read for $40 and get a flash tattoo to mark the occasion. I didn't get a tattoo, but I did get a reading from the woman. She was a friend of one of the owners. Unfortunately, I can't tell you her name because, yep, you can be cursed more than once. And I had the unfortunate luck of this happening to me. Though this lady had a vendetta practically against the entire community of physical shops and witch groups in the area I live in, I'm in pretty good company. Anyway, she seemed cool, and I found out she taught tarot classes and was a witch. I thought this was the perfect way for me to meet other witches and dip my toes in the craft a bit. So I went to witch school for, after doing a bunch of studying on my own. And I'm going to just pick another page just to see what we land on and give you a little bit more taste of what this is. Let's see what I come up with. Oh, look. I ended up in the middle of a story. Or the beginning, I should say. First quarter of the book. And guess whose story it is? Glyn Owen Barris. And I'm so sorry, Glyn, if I'm mispronouncing your name. I don't mean to, or if I'm mispronouncing anybody else's names. I'm not always good with names. So this story is called All of Them Witches. Topsfield, Massachusetts, 13th November 1692. The woods seemed endless, a maze with unseen pursuers constantly behind them. Excuse me for the noise in the background. I don't live with, I live with other people. I don't live by myself. Quiet apart from the noise of their escape across the undergrowth when they first entered the woods, their progress had sent birds fluttering away from their treetop homes. Small, unseen things had rustled off through the underbrush. The ground lay thick with yellow and brown leaves, alternately dry or mushy beneath her shoes. If the denizens of the woods fled now, her own panting breaths hid the sounds from her ears. Come on, Abigail, Sarah said. We must warn her. Abigail did not need to hear this to know the urgency of their plight. Were they being pursued? When the men arrived at their home, her and Sarah had crept to a window, listened to the fabulous charges issuing from mean, sneering mouths. The pair fled soon after across fields and into woods near their property. Most of her family could be arrested, even imprisoned by now, for the diabolical act of practicing witchcraft. Her father, mother, even her youngest sister, Charlotte, just 4 years old. What utter madness had come upon the land that mere babes faced interrogation and punishment. Okay, so that's just another taste of what you get in witchcraft and black magic in the United States. Sorry, I'm so tongue twisted today, guys. It's been a rough day, but I hope you really go out and purchase this book from Eighth Tower Publications or on Amazon.com. There are so many wonderful stories in here, and as usual, I hope you have a wonderful day. Mwah! I will see you next time. Bye.